Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 3 of the Monday Q&A, so let's get it done. First question. How were you able to wade through the Broscience that people teach in gyms and get a hold of methods that work for you when you started lifting and didn't have access to the internet? For example, what kept you from eating only clean foods and working out 6 days a week as a natty? Well, I'm only 37. The internet was pretty much out as I was reaching adulthood. It just wasn't as big as it is today. The amount of content was much, much smaller, but there were actually forums that actually talked in depth about steroids and bodybuilding and everything else, even back in the late 90s, believe it or not, right around the new millennium. So that being said, the information was pretty bad. I had access to enough strength and conditioning information and legitimate coaches that a lot of training, I got a lot of really good stuff early on that helped, but as far as nutrition, because even a lot of nutritionists and sports nutritionists out there were very, very bro and were talking about 6 meals a day and low glycemic index carbs, that was actually part of mainstream nutrition and mainstream sports nutrition at one time. It's just that it's died out as new information has come out. It's not that it wasn't actually preached by the legitimate experts at one time. So at one time, was I eating brown rice and chicken for 6 meals a day? Yeah. Have I ever used cycling ketogenic diets for long periods of time? Guilty. So the reality is I didn't avoid it. You guys today, with the access to information that you have, now you're the ones who should be able to avoid this better than we could when I was younger. We didn't have access to nearly as much really good nutrition data and nutritional science that you guys have access to today. So you guys don't have nearly the excuse. I mean, back then it was pretty bad. But the training was pretty good, because there was good training information. If anything, the training online has regressed and is worse than the information that was available back then. You guys have got shit training info now, for the most part. But the nutrition has gotten better, but we had access to a lot better training information back then. At least I did, because again, I knew legitimate coaches and legitimate PhDs and physiology and things. But the nutrition info was just terrible. And it was way more bro just in general than it is right now. All right, next question. When they hold bodybuilding shows in obscure Eastern European countries, is it due to higher availability of drugs for the competitors? What? Yeah, just because you can walk in and buy stuff off the shelf doesn't mean the availability is there. The actual availability is lower, because you go into a pharmacy and there's only 4 freaking drugs you can buy. You go to a country like the United States, Canada, the UK, that has a very, very big black market. You have access to 37 different drugs. Anybody can get on. If you're at the point where you're competing, you probably know 17 steroid dealers personally. So you don't have any problems whatsoever getting your hands on virtually anything you want at that point. I could walk into any new state inside the US and probably find anything I was looking for inside of a week. Guaranteed, even if I'd never lived there before. It's just not that hard. So there's them hosting them there, I don't know. As far as why they're doing it for political reasons, I have no idea, but I don't think it has anything to do with the availability of drugs, because the availability isn't any better. All right, next question. How do you explain some people can't even sit in a chair or box to learn a squat movement? I work in a gym and I found more and more people that can't do basic movements like bending over with a straight back or sitting on an incline leg press. Is this due to lack of flexibility? Oh yeah, it's lack of flexibility, lack of mobility. It's people having desk jobs and being sedentary for 15 or 20 years. It screws you up bad. The only thing you can do for these people is mobility work and a good trainer. This is unfortunately why I would never want to be a personal trainer to the mainstream public and work with non-athletes, because you got to spend a month or two just getting these people mobile enough and flexible enough to do basic physical movements. That's how bad the average American is. It's really, really bad. And again, it has to do with a lifetime of no physical activity and being completely sedentary. Or if they're not sedentary, they have a physical job that creates a muscle or mobility imbalance through repetitive movements. and not actually balancing things out. So that's your big issue there. That is a cause, and it's quite a hassle for new people training out. And it's something that personal trainers, is pretty much their main job, is to get people mobile again. And most of the new clients, they have to work with them in order to get them to even be able to function enough to even start lifting weights correctly. Alright guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 4.